This is the complete whole head scissor haircut that you'll learn in this tutorial. I'm going to break down the entire process step by step to make it as simple as possible for you to understand. I'll be using clear demonstrations and visual cues to explain exactly what to do and when to do it. Many people find scissor work daunting, but I'm going to show you a truly effective and simple methodology that I use. So let's get started. So we've got an excellent head of hair to start with. Now the first step, and I know everybody can do this, is just to wet the hair down. This will help me divide and section the hair cleanly. So here's the first section, and this is very easy. So use the hook of the comb and draw from the crown all the way down to the top of the ear. And what we'll do is we'll separate the front and the back into two completely different sections. So we've got the weight of the water holding the hair in place. It's nice and smooth, but just for good measure, I'll just put a clip here in case the hair dries out while I'm working or collapses. So I have that workspace under control. I'll go over to the other side and just section off that side, and we've got this whole back area of the head. Now let's get started with the fun part. So the hair's not been cut for a while, and the hair from the top's reaching almost down to the back of the head. So we haven't really got any layers, and I want to lift that texture higher up. I want to layer the hair, so I want the hair cut to different lengths all the way down the back. What we need to do is shorten this area from the crown and bring that in a bit. So we'll take a comb width's worth of hair and lift it out, and I'll take multiple sections like that. We'll just lift them all out and cut away a good amount, and think about where is that hair going to lay. Once I let go of this, what will happen to the hair? That's a nice section. So we let go of it, and where's it going to land? Okay, now we have layers higher up, almost to the occipital bone, that bone that sticks out at the back of the head. So I'll move across, pick up the next box shape that I showed you, and just cut that down. Now I hope this is simple so far. I think it's pretty simple. I think anybody can get this far. So you're already into the haircut if you're just learning. As I step my way across to the right hand side, I'm going to pull these sections a little bit towards the middle, and this is because the hairline around the ear is much higher. So if I pull the hair towards the center, it keeps it longer. So I'll pull it over this way. You see how that's going to keep it longer and protect that hair around the ear, so we're not going to lose the shape around about here. Just step over to the left hand side. More of those boxes that I showed you at the start will about a comb width. Now try to take the width of a comb, as I say, because you don't want to overload the scissor. You don't want to have too much hair that you're chewing through it and the scissor is doing too much work, or the comb can't pick it all up and get it smooth. One of the most common problems that people tell me they're having on the channel is that they have lines in their haircut. And to be honest, the simple solution to that is make your section smaller. Make them really small if you're getting lines, because you want to be able to see how much hair you're taking off. And if it has a broad base, if your section has a broad base, the top of it is going to be more uneven. The narrower the base, the more even the section will be when you cut it. Okay, so we've got this area across the crown down to the occipital bone covered, and I'm going to add some more water for some control for my favorite method. So let's section that cut hair out of the way, control it with the ear. I'm just going to hook it over the ear. I'm not going to use a clip for this. If you want to be perfect, you can use the hook of the comb and get that line absolutely straight. It's not actually necessary. As long as we've got that hair controlled, that's fine. So scissor slides in underneath, okay, and I'm going to pick all these sections from the top to the bottom. So I'll lift my section up with the scissor, put the comb under and smooth it out a little bit, and I'm looking for the hair, the layered hair that I've already cut. Okay, once I see that, I know that I've got the right length. So I'll work my way down. And the aim for me here, I've already decided that I want this hair to sit just around about the collar so that there's some movement. I don't have like a neckline, I have some natural flow around the hairline. So scissor over comb all the way down to the collar here. I think this is a good length. So right underneath, try and tease out all the little hairs, try and find them all. Okay, now we'll step to the right. Same method. Okay, I can see that there's some short hair in the left there. I'm going to cut to that. That was the length that I cut the layers to in the middle. So you can always be looking for a guide. If you feel confident that you're pulling the hair out to the correct length yourself, that's absolutely fine. Okay, have faith in yourself. You don't need to cut hair with a tape measure. It's a very natural medium to be artistic with. Okay, so it's not always about absolute precision. I'll pull this hair out of the way, and just now I'm going to trim that down a little bit around the neck, but that's not totally necessary, to be honest with you, because I'm going to come back with the trimmer and clean that up at the end anyway. It's just for this stage of the haircut right now. So over to the left, bring this hair down here. So if you've never done scissor over comb before, look at my thumb and forefinger on the comb. They flip the comb. Okay, and it's the comb control that's the hardest part of this. Flipping the comb. Go back and have a look. Just rewatch this section because I dropped that nugget of information in a little bit too late here, but that will really help you if you can get control of the comb. Sometimes sitting there in the sofa with a comb in your hand and just flipping it over will give you a great amount of practice. Just to add a little bit more texture, I'm going to use my Bladonia razor and just brush across sections using my comb. So I'll put the comb in and I'll angle the razor and just brush across these sections. Now what that'll do is it'll actually feather the ends of the hair because I want texture and I want layers. And I have enough hair that I can texture it here. It's quite thick. So safe to go in with the razor and start breaking it up a little bit. If you don't have a razor, I'll leave a link down below where you can find razors to buy. So now we need to carry through from the back to the front. So I'll separate out the front. Again, I'm going to make a really clean line here. It's quite good, this hair, when it's wet. My client's hair is really easy to section. See how it sections in good lines? Not everybody's hair sections that easily. But Mohammed, who I'm very grateful to, he has great hair for sectioning. So what I'm doing is I'm just looking to see how the hair is going to lay over the ear. This is what I want it to do. So I'll take some sections, front to back, pull them out, and I'm just going to take down the length there, and I'm thinking, have I got enough hair to reach over the ear? Is it long enough that he's going to be able to brush it back? And that's what you should be thinking when you're doing a haircut like this. Are you leaving enough hair that it will move in the direction that you want it to go at the end of the haircut or when you blow dry it? Sometimes it's more than you think, okay? And the thing is, you can always adjust it afterwards. You know, if it's too long at the end, well, yeah, you just go in and adjust it, that's fine. So I'm taking off a fair bit here, and I've gone all the way to the back to the point that I'm not finding anything to cut anymore. So there's some messy stuff around the ear that I need to tidy up. I'll just try and get down a little bit lower. So I'm just looking to see if there's anything dramatically longer here, just around the periphery. And then what we need to do is have a look at the ear. What's kind of like hanging out here? So I'm going to slice down here. That shapes, okay, so I'm not closing the blade completely. I'm just slicing down. You have to have a convex blade for that, by the way. It's not going to work with a bevel edge. You can't slice with bevel edge scissors or it'll drag through the client's hair. It'd be painful. The convex edge is more like a razor's edge. So what I'm doing here is I'm separating out this stuff on the ear, and I'm going to come back to this later, but I just want to neaten that all up right now before I continue with the haircut. So this is just a little bit of fine detail here. Okay. I think that's okay. And then way up the shape, I can see that it's a little bit raggedy just at the back of the ear there. So let's pull that down and we'll try and trim away just the stringy stuff, the stuff that's not very bold. That's better. So over to the other side. Now, if you're left or right-handed, you always find that you prefer one side or the other. So some people prefer an overhand or an underhand grip. I find on my left-hand side it's much easier to pick up the hair like this with the hand vertical. It's a much more relaxed position. So again, I'm just making sure that I leave enough hair to brush back over the ear at the end of this haircut. And I'm pulling that stuff from the back forwards now. I'm over-directing that a little bit forwards to make sure that I retain some length around the perimeter of the ear, where you can sometimes have like a rise because the ear, you know, rises up, the shape of the hairline rises up around the ear. So sometimes you want to protect the length by using over-direction. That's a technical term. I'm using that a lot in this haircut and I'll talk about it more. So scissor in and just tidy this up here. Be careful. Normally you should cut away from the ear. So a bit of bad behavior from me there. I'll just trim them down as well. Yeah, I like to cut away from the ear. I don't like to close the scissor towards the ear. But I think the reason I was there is because the camera is exactly where I want to be standing. So it gets in my way on occasion. Let's get some more water in this and get it all combed right back. But look at what we've got now that it's brushed back with this long hair hanging over the top. And what's happened there is it's the hair from the top resting over the top of the layers that we made. So what we need to do is just continue those layers right into the top and trim away any long hair that exceeds the length of the layers that we made. So let's just pick up and we should be able to see the length of the layers. Okay, there's some short stuff and we've got all this long stuff. Now we can happily get rid of that, okay? So to cut this top area here, let's pull everything back. This is an over direction from the front to the back. We'll pull everything back, and when it lays down at the back, if it's swept back, it'll be completely layered all the way down that back section. How much fun is this? Cutting off loads of hair, but it doesn't seem to affect the length of the haircut because this is what you would call the interior of the haircut. The perimeter or the exterior of the haircut is the edges. You know, so you can cut this down, take loads of weight out of the hair, and it doesn't look like the hair is getting any shorter. But the client will certainly notice. The main thing is that you retain enough hair for movement. Great fun cutting this head hair. So now here's a little trick, okay? Just comb the hair back, push it forward a little bit, and it'll separate in its natural parting. And this is slightly left of center. So I'm going to take these sections which are from the middle of the head and pull them out sideways. Okay, right from the top middle of the head. Pull them out until I get to the ear, and then I'm going to over-direct my sections back towards myself. There's that word again, over-direction. Now, what it means is, around about from this section forwards, I'm going to start pulling the hair towards me, and less will come off. That's going to retain the length of the hair, okay, at the front. So we're retaining that length. I don't want it to be as short as what I have on the crown. I need this hair to have lots of movement and flow back. So let's pull it all back and retain that length, protect it. Whenever you're thinking of over direction, you're thinking of adding length, and you can do it in any direction you want. It doesn't need to be at the front of the head. Sometimes you have haircuts like an asymmetric bob that a woman might have where it's much longer on one side of the head than the other. So you might be thinking, right, okay, how can I add lots of length using Overdirection, and that's the way you do it. So I've cut the Overdirection, but I don't have it layered from the middle down to the side. I'm going to explain that to you, and it's better that I show you than I just talk about it. You will see it in just a moment. So I'll cut the other side. Now, remember my parting was left of center. It doesn't really matter. It's just easier for me to cut in the natural parting. Hair just obeys the laws of physics better when it's in its natural parting. However, it's going to be uniform on top, meaning that it's all exactly the same length, and you'll see that in just a moment. This is what I'm talking about. This is layering the top, okay? So let me show you. There's going to be like a triangle when I pick this up. So I pick it up, there's a big point right in the middle, okay? Because we haven't touched that. We've pulled hair to the side and cut it, but that stuff in the middle's hardly been cut at all. And what's going to happen here, when I take that point off, I want you to watch. Okay, so I take that off and look at what happens now when the hair lays. It lays about there, but if that point was longer, it would reach down further and you'd be left with a heavy area at the side. You wouldn't be able to get texture so easily. So what we're doing here by cutting in the middle is we are texturizing the side. We're layering the side of the haircut. At the front, I'll pull it down. I'm going to look for that little triangle again, although it shouldn't be much because I took a big chunk off lifting it up. Okay, real quick. If you're watching this and you're just getting into cutting hair, you need a solid pair of scissors. And these are seriously a great place to start. They're made with a high quality Japanese steel, which basically means they stay sharp longer and they give you really clean, easy cuts, no tugging or uneven lines. The blades have this special curved edge called a convex edge. So even if you're still learning your technique, it helps make your cuts smoother and more controlled. They are super beginner friendly. They also come with this nice leather zipper case, so you can keep them safe and in top shape when you're not using them. If you're learning to cut hair at home or thinking about going pro, these are a great investment to start with. The link's in the description if you want to check them out. Now back to the video. So there's a little bit of work to do here before we can examine this haircut and finish it up. So what I want to do is I'm going to brush that back and have a look over the haircut. Let's go back with the little trimmer and just fade in these little sideburn areas. I just put the comb in and tilt it out a little bit just to create a small fade. This isn't a clipper cut, okay? This is a scissor cut. Thankfully, we're just trying to make a nice neat finish that may be underneath the long hair. And it will be revealed when the client pushes their hair back, so make that area nice and neat. Same on the other side. And I did say to you as well that what I was going to do was I was going to come back round with the trimmer at the back of the neck. So just pull all that hair out of the way there. Okay, and this is the neck hair that's just laying underneath. We can just trim that away. Remember, there's always going to be hair lying on top of that, so I'm not saying be rough, but don't go into the hairline. Just take the neck hair away, okay? So if you're going to cut hair like this and you want to style it nicely, I'd recommend actually sometimes it's better not to dry it. Let it dry naturally. Okay, you could put in a little bit of product if you want, something for hold, but let that hold dry naturally because the hairdryer can puff the hair up. Okay, it can fluff it up even with product in it. So a little bit of water, just a light spray, and then have a look over your haircut. So this is my end result. This is my haircut. I'm really happy with the texture on the sides. I think we've got really nice movement. I wanted the hair to flow. I wanted there to be some texture in it. That's a word I've used a lot in this video. I wanted there to be layering, and you can see that as you're combing through. Finally, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. You've found lots of new techniques and fun things that you can do with hair, and you have a newfound love for Overdirection and scissor cutting hair. I'll see you again in my next video.